It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
All right, Erica asks, if we are going into a recession, as many are predicting, or there's a lot of chatter about that right now, is it better to increase my contribution to my retirement funds or save?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this is, I'm going to bring it back. First, let's talk about recession. I don't mind because I think this is the easiest no-brainer tea leaf reading thing. We are in a recession.
Ooh, bold prediction.
Oh, I mean, come on.
I like the hot take.
Because y'all know the definition of a recession is 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. We're already 50% there when we cross March 31st. We know that was a negative quarter as they published the data. I mean, think about how you felt in the first 3 months of the year. Think about how you feel right now. You think it got better?
Mm-mm.
No, we're in a recession right now. You're living through it as we speak. Here's the good news, because I think that's the first shock and awe thing to tell you. Hey, by the way, you're in it. Don't wait for them to tell you. You're actually in the recession. So a lot of you are thinking, well, that's kind of scary because they haven't even publicly called this thing a recession yet. What's going to happen to the stock market when they actually come out with the second quarter data and it does confirm we're in a recession? This thing's going to get even worse. Maybe not, because remember, financial markets are forward-looking indicators. They're not doing what's happening right now. The stock market in general is trying to look and figure out what's going on 6 months, 9 months to a year in the future. And the good news is recessions don't typically last longer than 11 months. We've done all kind of content on recessions. Bull markets, they last years. Recessions, on average, last about 11 months. So that's why we're in it right now. We crossed 20% down yesterday for the S&P 500, so that makes us officially in a bear market. So hopefully you're listening to this and you're like, man, he's confirming a lot of this negative stuff. How can that be a positive thing? Well, remember when we talked about cycle of market emotions, that the maximum risk for financial markets is when everybody's making money and they get very greedy and they get very excited and think, man, we're all geniuses. We're all going to the moon. This is going to be so easy to keep building wealth. The maximum opportunity of investing is actually kind of counterintuitive. You know, buy low, sell high is when everybody else is scared to death. That whole fear component comes in. So I wanted to kind of first go through the behavioral side of the understanding, Bo. What's a recession? How does this impact? I'll leave you to kind of talk about what the implementation is. What does this mean for your retirement savings? What does this mean for investing in general?
Yeah, so Erica, you said, I'm trying to decide, do I save, or put more money into my retirement? That tells me you're still an accumulator. If you're an accumulator, someone who is building assets right now, you're not at financial independence, you're not retired, but you are still building, dare I say you should be excited right now. I had a client text me this morning. He said, man, market's looking pretty ugly. And I said, yeah, you're right. But man, you should be pretty excited about it. Because right now, every dollar that you're putting to work, when those 401k contributions go in, when those Roth contributions go in, when that ESPP purchases, you're buying at lower and lower and lower and lower levels. That's what you want. We all talk about, we want to buy low and sell high. But none of us ever get excited about buying low. We get uncomfortable and we're like, this doesn't feel good. And so I'm assuming when you say, should I save, that's, should I just put it in cash, put it in cash? Well, if you can tell me when the bottom of the market is going to be, that's a great idea. You should do that. Like if you know when that's going to happen, yeah, save up the cash and I would just buy on the lowest day. And I think you're going to come out well. The problem is nobody knows when that's going to happen. We don't know if this is the beginning of a more significant downturn or perhaps our worst days are behind us and we're about to turn. No one ever knows. So what I like is whenever there's something I don't know for sure, when I cannot go into a decision knowing the outcome, I like to remove as much emotion from that decision as I can, and I like to put a system in place. And the system that we love is dollar cost averaging. Get that money working every month, whether the market's up, whether the market's down, put it to work. But right now, while things are a little dicey, a little uncomfortable, I would encourage people to think, man, okay, maybe I don't need to spend that money this month. Maybe I don't need to go do that thing. Maybe I don't need to buy. I was going to replace my car, but maybe I don't need a new car, so I'm going to put it off. And I would think about, are there ways I can actually increase my savings rate right now? Because I love getting my army of dollar bills to go to work for me. I really love getting them to go to work for me when things are on sale. And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing right now.
But I do think Erica brings up a good point. And this is once again another stress test of the financial order of operations is that there's a reason that steps 1, which is deductibles covered, and then step 4 is your emergency reserves, does say, hey, you need to make sure you have enough cash to get you through whatever emergencies. So, Erica, I would encourage you, have you made it through first step 1, deductibles covered? Have you made it through step 4, that 3 to 6 months of emergency reserves? Because you still sound like you're an accumulator. Figure those parts out, and then that will free you up to go maximize the opportunity of being a contrarian that can load up the Roth IRAs and other things. Because realize, statistically, and this is what I've got Daniel working on content on this, once we cross bear market status, we are exponentially increasing the opportunity. Historically, if you look back, test the data, there's good times ahead. That's where these cycles of markets, people always say, hey, aren't you worried when Vanguard comes out every year and they say, hey, for the next 10 years, the market's only going to make 3% a year? I'm like, no, because there's going to be a lot of other stuff that happens. Right. So that spring or that coil, that rubber band, whatever you want to say, the steeper this decline is, the more energy it's going to push into the recovery down the road. So that's why I get excited for somebody, Erica, because go figure out the cash reserves through the financial order of operations, and then figure out, hey, can I go take advantage of the future opportunity that's coming our way? Can I be a contrarian? Because this is when wealth is made, is when everybody else is headed for the exits, and you're trying to figure out, is there a maximization opportunity to go to step 5 of the financial order of operations, step 6 of the financial order of operations, because this is an opportunity for you to really think about, how do we build wealth while everybody else is scared?